Welcome back to Only Talk Sports. We talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm your host, Jeffrey, and subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. Now, in the Big 12 on Saturday, there's a game between two teams that are 500. Which team can get back over 500 with the West Virginia Mountaineers traveling on the road at the Texas Tech Red Raiders? Who do I think is going to win this game? Let's break it down. Now, West Virginia is 3-3 to start this season, and Neal Brown has been their head coach for a few seasons, and they have had some success, but they've also struggled at times as well, and this season is no different. They started with a loss at Pittsburgh in the backyard brawl, 38-31, and this was a game that they were really competitive in, but a pick six that shouldn't have been a pick six, but the ball was tipped and picked, went through the receiver's hand, and was picked by Pittsburgh and ran it all the way back, caused them to lose. And then they lost to Kansas 55-42 in overtime, and this was a game that coming into the season, West Virginia probably thought they would win, but Kansas is a lot better. Then they beat Towson 65-7. That was a good win. Then they won at Virginia Tech 33-10 in the Black Diamond Trophy game. That was a good win there because Virginia Tech is struggling. But then they lost at Texas 38-20. And obviously Texas is a really good football team, but West Virginia wasn't really competitive. And then they beat Baylor 43-40. And this was a really big win for West Virginia because if West Virginia wants to have any chance of bowl eligibility, they had to win against Baylor. And they did get it done. And in that Baylor game, quarterback JT Daniels, the Georgia and USC transfer, had 283 yards, a touchdown, and interception. He's a very solid quarterback, but he is kind of up and down. Sometimes he makes bad throws, but sometimes he is really solid. Running back Tony Mathis at 163 yards and 2 touchdowns for West Virginia against Baylor. He's a fantastic running back. He's been improving as the season's gone on. Wide receiver Caden Prey threw 109 yards and a touchdown, and wide receiver Bryce Ford Wheaton at 51 yards against Baylor. Both wide receivers are fantastic, and they are great targets for JT Daniels. And on the defensive side of the ball, safety Hershey McLaurin at 4 tackles, safety Aubrey Burks at 3 tackles and interception, and defensive lineman Dante Stills at 3 tackles against Baylor. And for West Virginia, their defense at times has been pretty good, like in the Virginia Tech game. But they've also really struggled against the Texas, Baylor, Kansas, and Pittsburgh offenses. So they've been kind of up and down, but they need to get that cleaned up if they're going to be able to make a bowl game. Now, on the Texas Tech side, Texas Tech is 3-3 to start the season as well, and Joey McGuire is in his first season as head coach. And they have had moments of playing really good football, but they've also struggled as well. They beat Murray State 63-10, and that was a good win. And then they beat Houston in overtime 33-30, and that was a good win. Even better at the time because a lot of people thought Houston was going to be really good, but Houston's still a good team, but it was still a good win for Texas Tech. Then they lost at NC State 27-14. And obviously, NC State still had Devin Leary, so that wasn't a bad loss there. Then they beat Texas in overtime 37-34, and obviously Texas did not have Quinn Ewers, and obviously Bijan Robinson fumbled at the end of the game, but Texas Tech did take advantage of that and got a win, and that was a great win. Then they lost at Kansas State 37-28, and then they lost at Oklahoma State 41-31. Not much shame there. Both are fantastic football teams in the Big 12. And in that Oklahoma State game, quarterback Baran Morton had 379 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception, 46 rushing yards, and a touchdown for Texas Tech. He's a really good quarterback. Texas Tech has had some rotation at quarterback. They had Tyler Shubb, but then he got hurt, and then they've had Donovan Smith playing some. But now Baran Morton is the quarterback, and he did play very well against Oklahoma State, so he might be the quarterback playing the rest of the season for Texas Tech if he continues to play well. Running back SaRodorick Thompson, 87 yards and a touchdown. He's a really solid running back. For Texas Tech, they probably need to run the ball a little bit more to have more of a dual threat offense because they pass more than they run. If they would run more, I think their offense would be even better. Wide receiver Duran Bradley at 119 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Trey Cleveland at 100 yards, and wide receiver Xavier White at 62 yards and a touchdown for Texas Tech against Oklahoma State. All are great wide receivers, and that really helps, and that's why Texas Tech does a lot of passing because their receivers are really good, and they've always had good passing quarterbacks. And on the defensive side of the ball, linebacker Krishan Merriweather at 7 tackles, and defensive lineman Jalen Hutchings had a tackle for Texas Tech against Oklahoma State. Texas Tech's defense has been solid this season at times, but they've also given up a lot of points as well, so both Texas Tech and West Virginia are kind of inconsistent on defense. Now, who do I think is going to win this game? I think Texas Tech and West Virginia are very similar teams. And West Virginia, like I said, on offense, they are very solid, but on defense, they've kind of struggled at times. And Texas Tech's really good on offense, but they've struggled at defense at times as well. They're both very similar teams. But this game is at Texas Tech, and that might just be enough to put Texas Tech over the top in this game. And I think Texas Tech is going to get the win 35-31 over West Virginia. I think West Virginia can win this game, but when you have two teams that are very similar, and you have a home field advantage. Sometimes that is the difference. Again, West Virginia has had some good games this season, and so has Texas Tech. And I think West Virginia has maybe a little bit more talent than Texas Tech. But I think Texas Tech is playing good football with Joey McGuire as in his first season as head coach, and they have hung well against their better opponents on their schedule. And I think they're going to find a way to beat Neal Brown's West Virginia team. It's not going to be by a lot, but I think the home field advantage is going to be the difference. And I think Texas Tech is going to beat West Virginia 35-31. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Like this video down below. Comment down below whether you think West Virginia or Texas Tech is going to win this game and why. And I will see you next time.